Angel Stadium, Anaheim played host to the opening round of the 2018 MXSEMF EU Supercross Championship. Last year saw Britain's Connor Lins take the 250 crown and Team Volcom's Hunter Roux take the prestigious 450 title. This year sees Lins move up to the Premier class and has expectations of winning the title, but the competition this year is tougher than we have ever seen before, with Jeremy Shipley, Jesse Mullins and Jeremy Seabolt all competing. The 250 series was switched back to coastal format again this year, and 250 West is looking very strong. Jake Rose may edge out Logan Leitzel as the favourite, but they have an eager pack just behind them with Ben Seberg, Yannick Müller and the Swede Ollie Skolman. Jake Rose was the man who topped 250 qualifying with a 58.5, ahead of fellow Brit Ben Seberg, and Logan Leitzel rounded out the top three. 450 pole was taken at the last minute by the American Colton Mitchell. He just edged out Connor Lins on his Architect Honda and Jeremy Shipley of Relax Attire. 2018 Anaheim 1 was set to be one of the greatest yet. Here is what happened inside Angel Stadium. When the gate dropped for the first time this season, it would be the Dutchman Tristan Botteram who would take the whole shot, just ahead of the Brit Ben Seberg, Jonathan Hughes and Nick Usick. Kawasaki's Ben Seberg looked set to go after Hughes for the lead, but he then made a mistake on lap 1, taking pro rookie Jack Gatlin down with him. Title contender Logan Leitzel didn't get off to the best of starts. He found himself in 11th place on lap 2, just ahead of the fellow title contender Yannick Müller. Jake Rose was also just behind Logan Leitzel and Yannick Müller. After the Brit had gate 20 for the main, he didn't get the best of starts. Rose was making some great passes and looked really fired up. Could he get to the front? Moto chasing Yamaha rider Chase Donovan found himself in 10th place on lap 4, just behind the Swede Ollie Skolman. Both riders looked comfortable on the track and were pushing through the field. Meanwhile, Jonathan Hughes was slipping away from everyone else in the field. He was now 8 seconds clear of Jack Fowler in second. Although the track was starting to rough up, the Brit looked fast and stylish still. Chase Donovan and Jake Rose were battling hard. Rose looked aggressive and really wanted to make a quick pass, and he did so after a small mistake from Donovan. Both of these riders advanced from the LCQ and found themselves inside the top 10. Logan Leitzel was making a good push forward through the pack on his new MV Films ride. He found himself just behind Linus Göransson in 5th, but he was 20 seconds down on race leader Jonathan Hughes, who was running a great race out front. Matthias Lisman now found himself in 2nd place after a mistake from Jack Fowler. The Mitas Racing rider was looking very good on the roughening track and was stretching away from the riders behind him. Yannick Müller made this brave move down the inside of Jake Rose for 8th. Rose looked very fast but needed to limit his mistakes as they were costing him at the moment. It would be interesting to see if Rose could regroup and go for a top 5 at the end of the main. Chase Donovan had found himself right onto the rear wheel of his teammate Dylan Gatlin, but he had pressure from Müller and Rose right behind him. The pressure seemed to get to Donovan, and a small slide out meant he surrendered those 2 positions. Could he recover? Jack Fowler was all alone in 2nd place and was looking good to step onto the podium at the season opener. The R-Force 8 KTM rider was running very consistent and smooth laps, and this should have been enough to see him through to the podium. Jack Fowler made a mistake a lap later and was being closed down by Dylan Gatlin and Logan Leitzel. Leitzel would make a great move on Gatlin for 3rd, and he looked set to move further forward. Meanwhile, Jake Rose was just a second off this battle. Logan Leitzel was hounding Jack Fowler for 2nd, and the confident American would make the move with a clean pass down the inside of Fowler. Fowler fought back well and cut down on Leitzel, and took the position back though. Our race leader Jonathan Hughes had a comfortable lead ahead of Fowler, but the BPC rider lost the front end over the top of the berm, and handed the race lead to R-Force 8's Jack Fowler. Leitzel also went through into 2nd, meaning it was a 3-way battle for the lead. These 3 riders were separated by less than a second. Leitzel then made an authoritative pass down the inside of Jack Fowler. This also allowed Jonathan Hughes through. Would Fowler be able to recover and latch onto the top 2 again, or would they break away? Ben Seberg was locked in a battle with Dylan Gatlin for 11th. Seberg seemed to be struggling with the rough track, but he was making a valiant effort after his first lap crash. Winner at A1 would be MV Films rider Logan Leitzel. He rode like a champ in the main, and for sure will be a big threat to everyone this season. Jack Fowler looked set to come home in 2nd, but coming together with a lapper just before the finish corner meant he gave up his 2nd place to motor chasing rider Chase Donovan. Fowler would remount and cross the line in 3rd. Our 250 rider of the night will be Chase Donovan. The humble guy he is, Chase Donovan would never have expected to be standing on the podium at A1, but the Texan produced a fine race after having to come through the LCQ. He for sure has opened up some competitors' eyes and would one to watch in the West Coast Championship. That wraps up round 1 of the 250 West Championship. The class saw Logan Lightsall light the candles. Lightsall has carried over his form from outdoors, and if he can attend every round will surely be a huge title contender. Following him across the line was motor chasing Yamaha rider Chase Donovan, and taking the final step on the podium was Jack Fowler. Two Brits rounded out the top 5, Jonathan Hughes beating Jake Rose to the line. Another title contender Yannick Muller ended up 6th, followed by Frenchman Dorian Marot. Ollie Skolman and Zoe Cross crossed the line in 8th and 9th respectively, and Ben Seberg made a great comeback after that crash on the opening lap to finish in 10th place. Taking the first 450 hole shot of the year was Jeremy Shipley of Relax Attire. A great start to the campaign for the American with huge title aspirations. Lap 2 saw Architect rider Connor Linz move into 4th place after an unusually bad start. We had 4 big hitters up front. This was looking like being an interesting race. Our defending 450 champion Hunter Root was buried in 19th on lap 3. This is not the start to the season he would have wanted. Would Root find his groove and make his way through the field? Jeremy Shipley looked great on his new RMZ 450 and was gaining time on Jesse Mullins behind him. The stylish Dennis Fjellberg and Russ Chapman were engaged in an intense battle for 6th place. Russ Chapman looked like he wanted to make the move quick to give him a chance of catching the lead pack. Our top qualifier Colton Mitchell was biting the heels of Devin Davis for 9th. He then went for the big quad line and made the pass down the inside of Davis. Jesse Mullins of Magcape was reeling in the leader Jeremy Shipley. These two are very familiar to each other and look ready to give the fans inside Angel Stadium a spectacle to watch. Jeremy Seabolt was not having a good start to the main event. The expectation on his shoulders seemed to be weighing him down, and he would be sat in 17th place on lap 6. Colton Mitchell was starting to make moves, and this pass on Dennis Fjellberg would give him 7th place. Mitchell, who was riding with a serious arm injury, would surely be happy with this. Linz had now moved into 2nd place around Jesse Mullins. With half of the main event to go, the Brit had plenty of time to go after Jeremy Shipley in the lead. Another Magcape rider, Ryan Mayhem, was holding down 7th place, and he was looking increasingly fast on the righted track. On lap 12, Jeremy Shipley made a costly error in the whoops. The Relax Attire rider grabbed a handful of throttle and went down. This mistake handed the lead to Jesse Mullins. Jesse Mullins only lasted 1 corner in the lead though, as he got run wide on the berm by a lapped rider. This handed the advantage back to Shipley, and also meant Linz moved into 2nd place. Just behind the leading 3 was Colton Mitchell. He had done unbelievably well to get to 4th already, and by the way he was riding, the injured rider was not done there. Remarkably, Shipley then got involved in some drama with a lapper as well, and he went down, meaning Linz would lead the race for the first time. Would he keep his cool and take the checkered flag? Linz then went over the berm off camera and gave Mullins the lead. Would the outdoor champion throw it away yet again? But remarkably, this meant Mitchell was into 3rd. He was for sure taking advantage of these mistakes from the top riders. Chapman was putting in a solid ride in 5th place and wasn't far behind Connor Linz. The track was getting really beat up and it would be interesting to see who could deal with it the best. Then Chapman made the move on Linz through the whoops to take 4th place. Colton Mitchell was pressuring Shipley and sent the Californian crowd into raptures when he made this double pass on both Shipley and Mullins on lap 15. Colton Mitchell then landed on a lapped Matt Agate and sampled the Anaheim dirt. Not a great moment for an already injured man. He gave over the lead to Shipley and he had Mullins close behind. Mitchell remounted quickly in 3rd, just ahead of Linz, meaning the top 4 were all within a second of each other. What a final few laps we were going to have here at Anaheim 1. Mullins was hanging with both Mitchell and Shipley, but pushed too hard through the whoops and went down. A small off-track excursion by Mitchell meant Shipley took the lead once again. With just one more lap of the treacherous track left, would Shipley keep his cool and beat everyone to the line? The Relax Attire rider kept his cool on the final lap and took the main event victory here at Anaheim 1. He was closely followed by a gritty ride from Colton Mitchell, and taking the 3rd step on the podium, it was Connor Linz after a last lap pass on Jesse Mullins. Our 450 rider of the night goes to Colton Mitchell. After sustaining a nasty injury during the week to his arm, Colton Mitchell was a serious doubt for A1. The young American rode his way through the pain barrier and showed true grit and determination to get himself on the podium in 2nd place. What will a fully fit Colton Mitchell be able to do? This was a performance of a champion and shows how good he really is. Watch out for improvements next week in Houston. The checkered flag in the 450 class was taken by Jeremy Shipley of Relax Attire. The American came out on top of a ding-dong battle between himself, Mitchell, Linz and Mullins. These 4 are going all out trying to stamp their authority tonight. Mitchell will take 2nd ahead of Linz. Mullins would just miss out on the podium in 4th. RT racecraft rider Jeremy Seabolt came from dead last to rescue a 5th place. Atom Holm came home in 6th. and iLab.com Russ Chapman brought his Husqvarna to the line in 7th. Jacob Holgerson made a good start to the year in 8th place, and defending champion Brute ended up in 9th, and the flying Finn, Valtteri Tienen, dropped all the way back to 10th after a great start. That is a wrap on round 1 of the championship. We saw some familiar faces up front along with some breakout rides. Logan Lightsall and Jeremy Shipley will arrive in Houston aboard their red plate bikes, but this is a long haul and everyone in both classes has a chance of producing in a standout race. As we head to Houston, we should expect a softer dirt and a very unusual track design. Will there be more breakout rides, or will we see a expected title contender step up and seize control? See you at the Energy Stadium in Houston next week for some Supercross action.